Picture this. You're sitting across from someone you just met 5 minutes ago. You're making small talk, keeping things light and polite. But then they pause, tilt their head slightly, and say something that makes your blood run cold. You're dealing with something heavy right now, aren't you? Something you haven't told anyone about. Your heart skips a beat. Your palms get sweaty. Because they're absolutely right. But here's the thing, you didn't say anything. You didn't drop any hints. You kept your poker face on the entire time. So how did they know? Did they hack your phone? Are they stalking you? Or are they just an INFJ? Now, I know what you're thinking. That's impossible. Nobody can just know things about strangers without any evidence. And normally you'd be right. But INFJs, these rare, mysterious individuals who make up only 1 to 3% of the population, seem to break all the rules when it comes to understanding people. They're like human lie detectors mixed with emotion-sensing radars, wrapped up in one incredibly perceptive package. So buckle up, because we're about to journey deep into the rabbit hole of INFJ psychology and uncover the real science, psychology, and downright bizarre mechanisms behind their seemingly supernatural ability to read people like open books, even when those books are locked, hidden, and buried 6 feet underground. 1. Introverted Intuition, the invisible supercomputer. Alright, let's crack open the hood and see what's really going on inside an INFJ's brain. The secret sauce behind their mind-reading abilities is something called Introverted Intuition, or NI, if you want to sound like you know what you're talking about in personality theory circles. Think of Introverted Intuition as a massive, invisible supercomputer that's running complex calculations in the background 24/7. While you're having a casual chat about the weather or last night's game, an INFJ's brain is simultaneously scanning your facial expressions, cataloging your word choices, measuring your tone of voice, clocking your body language, and cross-referencing all of this data against thousands of similar patterns they've observed throughout their entire life. But here's the absolute craziest part. This whole process is completely unconscious. An INFJ isn't sitting there deliberately analyzing you like some wannabe Sherlock Holmes. They're not thinking, she touched her neck 3 times, avoided eye contact twice, and her voice went up half an octave, therefore, she's nervous about something. Nope. Instead, their brain just does all of this processing automatically, beneath conscious awareness, and then, delivers the conclusion as a sudden knowing, an intuitive hit, a flash of understanding that seems to come out of absolutely nowhere. It's like having a superpower that you can't control or fully understand. The information just downloads directly into their consciousness without them seeing any of the work their brain did to get there. 2. The art of hearing what isn't said. Here's where INFJs really shine. They're absolute masters at detecting what you're not saying. While most folks are listening to your actual words, INFJs are tuned into an entirely different frequency, the frequency of silence, hesitation, and avoidance. Let me paint you a picture. You're telling an INFJ about your amazing new relationship. You're using all the right enthusiastic words, wonderful, perfect, so happy. But you paused for just a split second before saying perfect. Your eyes darted to the left when you mentioned meeting their family. Your smile flickered for a microsecond when you said you're so happy. You changed the subject a little too quickly when they asked how your partner handles conflict. Most people would hear your glowing review and congratulate you. An INFJ? They're mentally highlighting every single one of those tiny red flags. They're not even consciously doing it. Their brain is just automatically filing away all these little inconsistencies. And somewhere in their gut, a feeling starts brewing. Something's not quite right here. This ability extends to everything. The topics you avoid, the questions you dodge, the emotions you try to suppress, the truths you dance around. INFJs are constantly reading between the lines, picking up on the spaces between your words, and sensing the things you're desperately trying to keep hidden. It's like they've got X-ray vision for emotional truth. 3. The science behind the sixth sense. Okay, so at this point you might be thinking, this all sounds cool and mysterious, but is there any actual science backing this up? Or are we just talking about personality horoscopes here? Fair question. And the answer is, yes, there's real science behind what INFJs do. Here's the deal. Research in psychology and neuroscience has shown that human communication is overwhelmingly nonverbal. Depending on which study you look at, somewhere between 70 and 93% of our communication happens through channels other than words. We're talking facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, microexpressions, pupil dilation, breathing patterns, subtle changes in skin coloration, and dozens of other tiny signals that our bodies broadcast constantly. Most people pick up on some of this stuff unconsciously, but they don't pay much attention to it. INFJs, though, they're like high-definition receivers for all these nonverbal channels. Their brains are wired to catch and process these subtle signals with exceptional clarity. Take microexpressions, for example. These are lightning-fast facial movements that last less than a fifth of a second. They reveal genuine emotions even when someone's trying to fake a different feeling. Most people completely miss these blink-and-you'll-miss-it moments. But in INFJ's brain, it catches them, processes them, and files them away as crucial data, all without the INFJ consciously noticing. Similarly, there's research on mirror neurons, specialized brain cells that fire both when we do something and when we watch someone else do it. These neurons are foundational to empathy and social understanding. And strong evidence suggests that some people have more active mirror neuron systems than others. Guess who likely falls into that category? Yep, you got it, INFJs and other highly empathetic types. 4. When knowing too much becomes a curse. Here's something most people don't realize about INFJs. This supposed gift of knowing things about people? It's not always sunshine and rainbows. In fact, it can be downright torturous. Imagine this. Really, truly know that your friend's partner is cheating on them. You can feel it in your bones. You've picked up on all the signs, but you have zero concrete evidence. So what do? If you say something, you risk being labeled paranoid, jealous, or dramatic. Your friend might get angry and accuse you of trying to sabotage their happiness. But if you say nothing, you have to watch someone you care about get hurt while you sit on information that could help them. Or picture this. You walk into a family gathering and within 30 seconds, you can feel the thick tension between your parents. You sense anger, resentment, hurt, all swirling beneath their polite smiles and cheerful small talk. Everyone else is oblivious, having a great time. But you're stuck carrying the weight of this unspoken conflict, feeling every uncomfortable emotion, knowing something's deeply wrong but unable to talk about it because officially everything's fine. This is the daily reality for many INFJs. They're constantly picking up on hidden emotions, secret conflicts, unspoken resentments, and concealed truths. It's like being forced to watch a movie where everyone else only sees what's happening on screen, but you can see all the behind-the-scenes drama, all the special effects wires, all the actors breaking character when they think no one's watching. The isolation this creates is real. INFJs often feel like they're living in a different reality than everyone else, noticing things that others somehow miss, carrying knowledge that others don't want to hear. 5. Gut feelings that never lie, well, almost never. Let's talk about something crucial to understanding INFJs, their relationship with intuition itself. Most INFJs go through a similar journey. When they're young, they doubt their gut feelings. Someone gives them a bad vibe, but they push it aside, thinking, I'm probably just being judgmental. They sense something's wrong in a situation, but they ignore it, telling themselves, I'm just being paranoid. But then something happens. That person who gave them a bad vibe? Turns out they were manipulative and toxic. Exactly what the INFJ sensed from day one. That situation that felt wrong? It blew up in exactly the way the INFJ's intuition warned them about. This pattern repeats over and over throughout an INFJ's life. Their gut feeling says one thing, logic says another, and then reality proves the gut feeling was right all along. After enough of these experiences, INFJs learn a critical lesson. Trust the knowing, even when it seems crazy. So when an INFJ meets someone new and immediately gets a bad feeling, even though the person seems perfectly nice and everyone else loves them, that INFJ has learned to trust that internal alarm system. They might not be able to explain it. They might not be able to point to specific evidence. But they know, deep down, that something's off. And more often than not, time proves them right. It's like they've got an internal GPS that's way more accurate than any logical analysis. Sure, it occasionally leads them astray. Nobody's intuition is perfect 100% of the time. But their accuracy rate is spooky enough that they've learned to bet on their gut over their head. 6. The neural wiring that makes it all possible. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of what's actually happening in an INFJ's brain that allows for this level of intuitive accuracy. First up, mirror neurons. We touched on these briefly, but let's go deeper. Mirror neurons are brain cells that were discovered in the 1990s, and they completely changed how we understand empathy and social cognition. These neurons fire both when you perform an action and when you watch someone else perform that action. They're essentially your brain's way of simulating and understanding others' experiences. But here's what's fascinating. Research suggests that people vary significantly in how active and sensitive their mirror neuron systems are. Some folks have highly responsive mirror neuron networks that fire intensely when observing others. Other people have less active systems. INFJs almost certainly fall into the highly active category. What this means in practical terms is that when you smile, an INFJ's brain doesn't just register, this person is smiling. Instead, their mirror neurons fire in a way that makes them internally simulate that smile, allowing them to feel whether it's genuine or forced. When you're tense, their mirror neurons pick up on that tension and create a similar feeling in their own body. They're literally experiencing a neural echo of your internal state. But it doesn't stop there. There's also evidence that INFJs and other intuitive types show different patterns of brain activity in regions associated with pattern recognition and abstract thinking. Their brains seem to be especially good at detecting patterns, making connections between seemingly unrelated information and synthesizing complex data into unified insights. Add in heightened activity in areas associated with emotional processing and empathy, and you've got a brain that's literally built to read people with exceptional accuracy. 7. The infamous I-Dorslam ultimate protection mode. There's a phenomenon in INFJ psychology that's become almost legendary in personality theory circles: the door slam. This is when an INFJ suddenly and completely cuts someone out of their life with a finality that shocks everyone involved. From the outside, it looks sudden and harsh. One day, the INFJ and this person are close friends or in a relationship. The next day, the INFJ has completely vanished, blocked on all platforms, won't respond to messages, acts like the person doesn't exist. But here's what's actually happening behind the scenes. The door slam is never sudden for the INFJ. It's the final move in a long chess game they've been playing internally for months or even years. Long before the door slam happens, the INFJ's intuition has been screaming warnings. They've picked up on patterns of manipulation, detected consistent dishonesty, sensed fundamental disrespect, felt chronic toxicity. They've probably given multiple chances. They've made excuses for the person's behavior. They've tried to see the best in them. But their intuition keeps saying, this person is harmful. This relationship is damaging you. You need to protect yourself. Eventually, there's a tipping point, sometimes a specific incident, sometimes just an accumulation of smaller things, and the INFJ's intuition finally overrides their desire to believe in the person. The door slams shut. And it's permanent. This ability to sense when someone is genuinely bad for them, even when that person is charming, apologetic, or promising to change, is one of the most powerful protective mechanisms INFJs have. They can detect patterns of behavior that predict future harm, and when those patterns become undeniable, they act decisively to protect themselves. 8. Can you train yourself to think like an INFJ? So here's the big question everyone wants answered. Is this INFJ ability something you're born with, or can regular folks develop it through practice? The honest answer? It's complicated. INFJs likely have some natural neurological advantages, more active mirror neuron systems, brains wired for pattern recognition, heightened sensitivity to emotional and social information. These are probably present from birth or develop early in life based on genetic and temperamental factors. But here's the good news. Anyone can improve their intuitive and empathetic abilities with deliberate practice. You might never reach the level of a natural INFJ, but you can definitely get better at reading people. Start by practicing conscious observation. Notice when someone's words don't match their tone. Pay attention to microexpressions, those fleeting facial movements that reveal true feelings. Watch for body language signals like crossed arms, fidgeting, or avoiding eye contact. Listen for verbal cues like hesitations, subject changes, or over-explanations. Keep an intuition journal where you record your gut feelings about people and situations, then check back later to see if you were right. This helps you calibrate your intuitive accuracy and learn to distinguish between genuine insights and baseless assumptions. Practice empathy by actively imagining yourself in others' situations. Ask yourself, if I were them, feeling what they're feeling, what would I be thinking right now? This exercises your mirror neuron system and strengthens your emotional intelligence. The key is consistent, mindful practice over years. INFJs have been doing this unconsciously since childhood, which gives them a massive head start. But anyone willing to put in the work can develop more refined people-reading skills. 9. When the gift becomes a glitch. We need to be real about something. INFJs aren't always right. Their intuition, as powerful as it is, can definitely malfunction. Sometimes past trauma creates blind spots. If an INFJ was hurt by a certain type of person, they might project those negative qualities onto anyone who reminds them of that painful experience. The new person might be perfectly fine, but the INFJ's pattern recognition system has been corrupted by old wounds. There's also the danger of overthinking. Not every pause in conversation is significant. Not every avoided glance means deception. Sometimes people are just tired, distracted, or thinking about their grocery list. INFJs can fall into the trap of reading meaning into meaningless things. Confirmation bias is another pitfall. Once an INFJ forms an intuitive impression, they might unconsciously look for evidence that confirms it while ignoring evidence that contradicts it. This can turn an initially wrong hunch into a self-fulfilling prophecy. And let's not forget the toll this constant awareness takes. Many INFJs struggle with anxiety, depression, and emotional exhaustion precisely because they're always picking up on undercurrents that others miss. They absorb negativity, sense conflicts, detect lies, and carry the weight of all this hidden information. It's mentally and emotionally draining. So while the INFJ's intuitive gift is remarkable, it's not infallible, and it comes with significant challenges that shouldn't be romanticized. 10. Real stories from the front lines of intuition. Let me share some actual experiences from INFJs to really bring this phenomenon to life. One INFJ woman described meeting her sister's new fiancé at a family dinner. Everyone was thrilled. He was handsome, successful, charming, and seemed completely devoted to her sister. But within minutes of conversation, this INFJ felt overwhelming dread. She couldn't explain it. He said all the right things, but something in his energy felt predatory. She tried to warn her sister, who got angry and accused her of being jealous. 2 years later, after the wedding, the truth came out. He'd been physically and emotionally abusive from the start. The INFJ had sensed the danger from day one. Another INFJ shared a story about interviewing for a job. On paper, the position was perfect, great salary, interesting work, room for advancement. But during the interview, despite the manager's friendly demeanor, the INFJ felt increasingly uneasy. They couldn't pinpoint why. The manager seemed nice, but their gut screamed, "Don't take this job." They turned down the offer. 6 months later, they learned through connections that the workplace was toxic, employees were miserable, and several people had quit under that same manager. The INFJ's intuition had saved them from a nightmare. A third INFJ recounted sensing that their best friend was planning to move across the country, weeks before the friend had made the decision themselves. The INFJ picked up on subtle shifts in how their friend talked about their current city, noticed them researching other locations online, detected a restlessness in their energy. When the INFJ casually mentioned, "You're thinking about moving, aren't you?" the friend was stunned because they'd told no one and had barely admitted it to themselves. These aren't rare occurrences for INFJs. This is their normal existence, constantly sensing things others don't, knowing things they shouldn't know, living a step ahead of everyone else's conscious awareness. Conclusion: So, do INFJs really have a strange ability to know things about people without proof? After everything we've explored, the answer is an undeniable yes. But it's not magic, witchcraft, or some paranormal gift. It's an extraordinary combination of neurology, psychology, pattern recognition, empathy, and years of unconscious learning. INFJs process social and emotional information differently than most people. Their brains are wired to detect subtle cues, recognize patterns, and synthesize complex data into intuitive insights. They don't just observe people, they feel people. They don't just hear words, they decode the hidden messages beneath those words. This ability is powerful and remarkable, but it's also exhausting, isolating, and occasionally overwhelming. INFJs carry the burden of seeing truths others don't see, knowing things others don't want to believe, and feeling emotions others try to hide. They live in a slightly different reality than everyone else, one where surface appearances are transparent and hidden depths are visible. If you're an INFJ, I want you to know your ability is real. Trust it even when others doubt you. But also stay humble, because nobody's intuition is perfect. Take care of yourself, because absorbing everyone else's emotional energy will drain you dry if you don't protect your peace. If you're not an INFJ but have one in your life, understand this. When they tell you they sense something, they're not being dramatic. They're sharing genuine insight based on information their brain has processed in ways they might not even fully understand. Listen to them. Respect their perspective. More often than not, they're picking up on something real that you've missed. The INFJ's strange ability to know things about people without proof is one of the most fascinating aspects of human psychology. It reminds us that communication happens on multiple levels simultaneously, that our bodies betray our secrets in countless ways, and that some people are simply more attuned to reading those hidden messages than others. The next time someone seems to see straight through you, when they know what you're feeling before you say it, when they sense your secrets without you revealing them, you might just be face to face with an INFJ. And now you understand, it's not supernatural. It's just their incredible, mysterious, and very real psychological ability in action. Thanks for diving deep into this rabbit hole with me. If this blew your mind, smash that like button, share this with someone who'll find it fascinating, and subscribe for more explorations into the weird and wonderful world of human psychology. Until next time, stay curious, trust your gut, and remember, some people see more than you think.